systems have to change. How you deliver a product, how you deliver a good, whatever your product is, how you distribute, how you monitor, how you reward, how you penalize. Those systems change in box number 3, and you have to think through, what are those? What do I have to build today to ensure that box number 3 tomorrow will make sense to people who will be there, even if I'm not here? So in my public life, we sat and did a target of $6 billion in 5 years. So the question was, who are these? Can't work. So as soon as we did that, we found there are things you got to do in order to get the 6. So we took the 6 to government, because government, they make pronouncements, statements, without thinking through them. The thought process is just about behavior, how I win the next election. But for us, we're thinking about, how do I help the next generation to live in a better country? That's the value proposition. I help them through economy. What economy? Economy is an elephant. I take exports. What exports? I take standards. You granulate, go down and see what you're able to do. So they said, 6 billion is nothing. We already have 6 billion. Okay. So we are now 18 months. We still don't know how much we sold yesterday. In other countries, they know what they have sold in 24 hours and what they have imported in 24 hours. That's how they switch on and off whenever they need. Yeah. For me and Pasaid, we're in box number 3, but we live in box number 1. Are we together? So we've even raised the tempo. We said 2062. What will happen in 2062? Any idea? Guys, do you live in the same country with me?
Yeah, sure.
Adoa, what will happen in 2062?
I'm not so sure, sir.
So Uganda will be 100 years on 9th of October, 2062. We will make how many years? So a country with 100 years should be a country with better means. Huh? So we've done a projection that gives us $100 billion worth of exports by 2062. And then the people who live in these statements, this group said, now we know you are just theory. Who will be here in 2062? I will not be MP, I'll be minister. If someone is just speaking like that. So I said, okay, you die, it's all right. But there'll be human beings called Ugandans. There'll be a country called. So don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow, you put your hand and fold it backwards. That's how all the nations and companies that grow, that's how they operate. Huh? So the systems that you need for us at Pasaid, we feel like hopelessly out of depth. We're talking about standardization. Remember where standardization came from? Where? In Thomas, where do we have standardization? Mtindo. You don't even see that Thomas and GM has had an impact now on Pasaid. Eh? Mtindo is standardization. So we're trying to bring a value called certification and standard and comply. Because if you can't comply with a particular standard, you cannot sell meat in UK or anywhere. So, but when you say standard, what standard? We have an African standard. You know, our country is very interesting. There are people who are so ignorant, but in their ignorance, they speak as if they are experts, okay? And they just try and tell whoever tries to say something different, you're foolish. They go on social media and insult you. But that's part of change. For me, that's part of living in box 3. So if the systems are not there, what about capabilities? Gentlemen and ladies, what capabilities do we need for 2030 as GM? You now need to start thinking. Capacity is amanyi. Capability is bumanyirivu. Do we all speak Luganda? Data, do you understand? Whenever do we understand our local languages? Huh? Okay, so how do I say expertise data in Lugbal? You speak Lugbal, Omadi? Kakwa. Okay, what do you call expertise in Kakwa?
Tobodo.
Tho? To or Tho? You have T-O, Thobodo. So what's our Thobodo in 2030? That's that capability. Okay? Because if you don't prepare, I keep telling people the reason you marry, have children, take them to school is what? You're concerned about box number 3. You're concerned about the future. So the capabilities for GM, please think about them. How about that? The resources needed for box number 3, you must begin to budget for them. Agnes, in your budget, you must say 30% of our annual budget is going to go to box number 3. It's going to go to the unknown. It's going to go to what looks stupid, but that's where we are heading because we're left behind. How about that? Huh? For me, that's where everything begins. Everything begins there. And often I think, am I thinking good thoughts today for tomorrow? Or are my thoughts colored by my position, structure, Saturday, Victor's social media, because Victor said you have to go on social media and say, hello, TikTokers, I'm Audrey, I'm here. Okay, that's nice, but those thoughts of TikTokers are not the ones that are going to give me box number 3. But for me to be in box number 3, I have to learn TikTok. Do you understand the difference? I can be in something, but I'm not of something. I am in something because I'm thinking. That's how number 3 will be achieved. So what are the thoughts for Gideon's men? If you look at that palette, those 3 boxes, gentlemen and ladies, they must be balanced. You cannot live in box 3 alone. You are simply idealistic. You cannot live in box number 1, you'll be North Korea. Insular, dead. You cannot live in box number 2 because what? It's a moving target. So what I'm looking for by end of our course is that our thought patterns and our behavior and our statements of intent are integrated, creating a platform for the 3 boxes to function. So when you are allocating resources, think of the 3 boxes. When you are deploying human beings or technology, think of what? Now, you may even have to create a whole team about box number 3. Because box number 3 people can sound like IT people. You know how IT people sometimes appear and sound? They live on another planet. They talk codes and you don't understand them. But now we know that the IT people are going to govern our world because they've been collecting data about us. Whether it's medical, whether it is financial, or travel, or security, they've been collecting. And he or she who collects data about all of us and has more data than anyone is going to determine what food you eat, what medicine you get, what mode of transport. So this is book 3 language. It may not make sense to you because this is my Saturday, this is where I live. But if you want to disrupt the current and live in the future, but be here today, I want you to strike a balance. Are we together? Good. So there is contention every day, always, between what today demands and what the future demands. Many of you know that. They demand the contention. We know the meaning of the word contention. There's a fight. I hope we're at the same level in terms of English understanding. Because I can put these things in Luganda, but will I help? Will I help for box number 3? So, the fight between saving money and spending it. Do we not understand that? What is saving for? It's for box number 3. What is spending? It's for box number 1. So there is always contention, for example, between research. If you say, can I increase salaries of people or can I spend money on research? Agnes, how do we stand with time? How many? 24 minutes. Remaining. Okay. Okay, so today is always fighting against tomorrow. That's how I feel in my life. Today, there's just so much pressure to do things and finish them. But today, as soon as I arrive at plot 13, or even Port Bell, there are people waiting. They have their own problems and they make them your problems. Okay? You can shut them off, you can hide, but you must find a way to deal with them. And this is even external. But today, I want to read, spend time reading. But I also have a phone call to make about AGOA, which is going to be terminated January 1st. But I also have to drive to Mbarara to interview a 99-year-old woman who might pass away, and she's a repository of information that the young people don't know, and I need to know it. Do you see the contention? So what do I do? What do I leave? But I also want to take a short course and understand artificial intelligence. Today is always fighting with tomorrow. So the question is, you as GM, what are you going to give focus and in what measure? What focus? What measure? That's what we want to come out of here with in this session. Can I give focus to service customers of a particular segment? Or do I still need the broad customer base even if I know that I'll be losing money? In other words, what I sell and what I spend on, I balance. But what I sell has gone higher and my costs have done what? That company has scaled now. Now it can say, I'll take any job. So G4S has 550,000 employees worldwide. All they do, go to Malawi, change uniform, put it on people. They make losses for 5 years, but they are keeping Malawi out of the competition. That's because they scaled. So your work should be to scale GM to a level where the focus, what we're putting emphasis on, is no longer survival. Okay? And the amount we put on that survival progressively does what? And then the increase in our capabilities, which will change our systems. Now, for you to achieve these, what I described in the 3 boxes, you need what? Discipline. What is discipline? Discipline comes from a Greek word, same soil with the word disciple. Who is a disciple?
Follow.
What do you follow? No, you follow something that you really like. And you have a sense of, if I follow this, it will change me. Right? So are some of you Christians? Yeah. Huh? So why were they disciples of a man called Jesus? He had something they aspired to, so they were willing to sacrifice everything to become this. So discipline and disciple grow from the same soil. If we are not disciplined to live as disciples for something higher than just today, we cannot live in box number 3. Are we together? Yes. So, a sense of discipline by management. And I'm taking you as the managers of this business, so I'm hoping you get the drift of what I'm talking about. So, box number 1, let's now combine these boxes as we try and wind down section 1 of this segment. It is competition for the present, and what you are trying to kill is what? Performance gap. You remember? Okay, can I have someone read for me 2 or 3 of what we said you handle in box 1? Who was taking notes?
Efficiency, optimization, and competition.
Again?
Efficiency, optimization, competition for present.
So what are those things? What are you trying to kill? It's the performance gap. That I perform optimally and I get good results by dealing with efficiencies, by becoming effective. Now, also, by competing for the present, and trying to kill the performance gap, which is very well, which is good, we have to practice what is called what? What is something linear? Who can explain to me the meaning of linear? I don't want to use hard terms. Huh? Linear? Huh? Yes, flat. It's all incremental, but on the same level. Okay? Box number 1 gives you incremental growth. There's nothing wrong with incremental growth, but if you live in incremental or linear, we know that there'll be problems very soon. Another person who has, Michael said, if someone is running ahead and others are behind, someone who has run ahead, they will beat you at the game, and you will lose. You will lose out on box number 3. So this is what box number 1 gives us. Kill the performance gap, compete in the now, and do incremental growth. Box number 2 and 3, if I combine them, they are the competition for what? For the future. And they are looking at what? Look at that word. I like this word. Huh? This word. What is this? The possibilities are out there. There is more we can achieve better than today. Don't live in, kill the gap. I agree, I like it, but the possibilities for you as Gidagui to be better than someone in G4S starts with me knowing the possibilities I have by building my expertise. Plus, box number 3 aims at what we call non-linear innovation. What's non-linear innovation? Huh? So if something is flat, non-linear means what? Huh? Rapid. Right? Rapidly changing. Huh? So the internet is a non-linear tool. Why? How is it a non-linear tool? Because I can use the internet to book a hotel. So Esther or Victor may not have needed to come to Las Vegas. All they needed is to check which hotels are in the location and which prices. They are non-linear, cuts out human beings, you use technology. So do you, any one of you use Uber? Uber. Okay. So you would never have had Uber unless there was internet. Huh? Which means internet gives us non-linear growth. Huh? So if you are not on the internet as a company, either booking services, you are not in the possibility gap. If customers are not finding you and booking you and looking for services, remember the customer, so I can use my own children. So my children, our daughter just booked a restaurant and said, Daddy, Mommy, let's go. Let's just go. There's a restaurant somewhere. My friend has told me. So now me, I'm careful which restaurant I want to go to. So I said, let's follow. So she follows the map, goes in a restaurant, and the restaurant is not a good place. It's not a good place for me to be. And she said, the menu, the food is good. Waitress. So I said, you know what? I have a plane to catch. So kind of to disrupt her from us moving from this restaurant to another. I said, let's go on Entebbe Road. But Daddy, why did you do that? So in my mind, I saw this generation doesn't have the social intelligence. Huh? Yet they don't know who is Michael, which is also good. They see Michael for what service they will deliver. And they will see Michael from online. And therefore, they are going to apply for jobs based on what? I don't know you. I just know that I have a skill. So what society are we preparing for them? Because if they can't find that, what do? They go and work in other countries. Huh? So, anyway, I've gone off the tangent, but the point I'm trying to make to you is non-linear growth is that you prepare the company for tomorrow. Even if you are the biggest expert who knows how to deploy, no, you are not online, you are not on the biggest forum for deploying or getting customers. You are not onboarding clients by an app. You are in history. So how can you do that if you don't upgrade your skills yourself? So Are we together on box number 1, 2, and 3? It leaves, box number 1 has market signals of today. What's a market signal? Omido has called me. Maybe the contract is ending next month. Or, there's another entrant who has just arrived. The signals are very clear in box number 1. We compete, someone loses a job. So Paul, we spoke about UN. Michael knows we've been at it for 2-3 years and not been able to move. But I guess that's because we have decided that you can only move if you are comfortable or have all the resources in box 1. Many times box number 3, you don't even have those resources, you create them deliberately. So in box number 1, the response is market signals. The visible signs such as market share. Companies fighting for market share live in box number 1. Because some companies don't care about market share. They are like guerrillas. Again, our history, when NRA was fighting, the intention was not to capture territory. It was to inflict maximum damage wherever you attack the enemy and disappear. Now, that has been converted into terrorism in our modern times. But I'm just telling you that often market share is like capturing territory. Some companies can succeed without necessarily being number 1 on market share, as I show you. Right? The linear changes that everyone can see. Which jobs oil and gas has come? We should try and pitch. Those are the non-linear changes that you see in box number 1. But you must be alive to those changes because sometimes people don't even see the incremental changes a manager needs to make. All these are in box number 1. Okay? But the response that we get in boxes 2 and 3 is slightly different. The signals are very weak. You don't notice that something is changing. So it's like, I hate to use political examples, but I know that many of you live in our country. So we had politicians who used to care about numbers, figures, when they spoke. They also used to care what they are forming. So there's an old man who is now 88, Mzee El Wakakoko. He cared about what kind of committee do I create that supervises government expenditure. He would get the British side, he gets the Singaporean side, and then he has a small team and he says, this is the way you create a committee of oversight. And he addressed no press conference. But he left us with committees that were eventually adopted in the Constitution. Those politicians, I miss them. They were not so much in, see me. No, they were just doing what you do for a country that is recovering. So what signals do we have today? And we didn't notice. There's a change. The average number of age of a politician is now 40 in our country. Actually, even younger, 35. What do you see? Social media. What? Are you on social media by any chance? So I've seen some tweets from politicians. A woman, a minister, a member of parliament saying something ridiculous, and it's okay. I don't care. I have a small butt, but it is for passing whatever. So in my mind, when did these signals, how come we did not notice them in the public sector? That's how corruption expanded. That's how things started to go wrong. Likewise, in a business, you might see some signals of change in an industry, but you don't notice because you are so in the noise. You think you are, but you are living in the now. Are we together? Non-linear changes, such as I described this. We did not notice that food ceases to be a restaurant you sit in. No, it's about food delivered in a package to your desk. So, do I need to set up a restaurant where people can go and sit and talk? Yes. But is everyone going in a restaurant? No. So, the delivery of food, the distribution of products, the Uber that I mentioned, I didn't mention Airbnb. You don't need to book a hotel now called Serena. There is something called Airbnb. Do I need to book lodging? All these are non-linear changes that have happened in the last 10 to 15 years, and GM has been in existence. So GM will make 20 years in just under 3 years. What weak signals are you picking now as we leave this room so that we can put them to use? So breakthrough innovation is in seeing or sensing, harnessing, and being intentional about weak signals. Box number 3 will not shout at you. There is no penalty for not thinking in box number 3. But the incremental penalty is like, so you don't exercise at all, you eat badly, you sleep late like me, you wake up early. The changes are coming in doses. You don't notice them. But you turn 60, you begin to see problems. But what if you started living in box number 3 when you are 25? You will be 60 and you are. So I still see some old men in their 80s who are alert, reading. So does any one of you know a channel called Netflix? So if you watch Netflix, I want you to go and look for Blue Zones. There's a documentary called Blue Zones. It talks about certain parts of the world where people live longer than others by simply walking more and driving less, eating less than eating more, exercising more, and they become centenarians. One of those islands is in Japan called Okinawa. So breakthrough innovation is going to be in how you see, how you harness as GM people, and how you are intentional about those weak signals. So the ability to notice non-consumers, there are people who are not taking your product, but they're also not taking the products of the competition. They're called non-consumers. Now, non-consumers, please don't confuse them with competition. We are all in the same industry, but clearly, there are people who are not consuming security services of another kind. Who are these and how can I reach them? The ability to notice that customers are changing, that there are non-traditional competitors who are coming on the market. They may come as offering insurance services to security guards, but they end up providing technology for guarding, and they are not strictly your licensed security company, but they are attacking your business at the core. You must have your eyes to these, otherwise you lose. Are we together so far? Okay. So let's look at what it means to really live in box 1 and box 3. The competition for high jump began which year? 1900. Do we know high jump? I did high jump when I was in school. So the initial type of high jump was what they called scissors. You know scissors, Makasi? You jump with one leg over. It's like slashing, cutting, jumping over. Okay? But how do you do, this is called scissors style, this. So you have a bar, cross the leg, jump over. The motion which you practice there is called the hurdling motion. Hurdling, to jump over. Cutting with legs. Okay? So people became very, very, very efficient at this, and they said this is the best way to do high jump. Well, another group said the Western roll. Do we know how to jump? Rolling over a high bar. So you don't use legs hurdling or cutting. You jump and roll over. It's called Western roll. And then someone in the 60s introduced the straddle. Various forms of jumping. So even in competitive sports, people are trying to find a technique on how to get something done. Huh? So who knows Lionel Messi? Maybe. Huh? Maybe all of us. How about Mbappe? Who is older? Messi. Why is Messi still scoring? Isn't he still scoring? Well, how does he do it? Huh? Technique. He's older. He's probably not running as fast, but he knows how to strike whenever there is a moment. Huh? Which means, what has he been doing? Perfecting a particular technique. So there comes a man called Fosbury Flop. This was invented by this man in the 80s. He says you twist the body. He's changing everything about how you jump. Head first. Remember, the legs used to be first? So he says, no, head first, then body next, then legs last. No, it's not possible to do this. It's not possible to do this. It's not possible to do this. Okay. But this Fosbury Flop, if all of you watch sports today, this is how high jump is done. Eh? So what has happened? So suppose you perfected, you optimized efficiencies being number one in scissors. Eh? Where would you be? Because you see, box number one tells you, build more muscles. That's how you jump with the scissors. Eh? Do you understand? Eh? The game hasn't changed. It's called high jump. But the technique has moved on. So even if you are building muscles or running very fast, in order to do scissors, someone has a technique, they have done what? They have left you. It's the same in business. It's the same in GM. Just because I came with this idea on how I got some clients when I was in the other business, it's different. Tomorrow requires that we allocate resources to who? Huh? So I'm not telling you to say, don't practice scissors. It might still work for you, right? There might still be a client here who pays you. There might be some knowledge gained where? But please, the winning game is where? So do you understand the difference between box 1, 2, and 3 and the balance? Eh? That's what I really wanted to drive at. So I wanted us to, as they get ready, to get what I call, given we know box 1 and box 2 and box 3, we now need to look at what strategy we apply. What are the elements? So that word strategy, we use it, it's a military word, but we use it without explanation. It is the measure of the ways and the means to get an objective. Huh? Strategy means what? The means you have, the approaches you use to get where you want to go. So what are the ways and means? America has a committee of parliament called Ways and Means. Eh? So what are the ways and means? So you have a particular amount of resources. You have a desire to cross to box 3, and there is a bridge that needs to be created. So this is as they set this up. Maybe we should close this. Are you ready? How quickly can this take you? Good. If you are, let me have groups of 2. Let me have groups of 2. Let's close this so that we don't come back to it. So what did we say here? Build more muscles so that we can do a Fosbury Flop. Is that what we said? Build better skills. Okay? Between these two types of jumping, there is even a valley that I did not want to speak about. Huh? There are many people, you can see that there's been improvement. Huh? It's not as if you can keep here You can keep improving, but the industry leadership is where? So I am sure that there are jumpers who still win under straddle. They are able to win in their specific market, but they are not the go-to if you really want to improve. To want to improve, you have to go and study Fosbury and how he did it. Huh? And we said there is a technique to how you get something done. And we concluded with example of, sorry for Agnes and our rapporteur, who may not know about these men. Mbappe, huh? You know about him? Okay, so I watched this game, one of the World Cup games, where Mbappe, I can't remember which country, he runs, he's got long legs, he runs, and he dribbles the ball, and he's smiling. So I want you to think of that. Smile means joy. This is me, right? This is not the piece of plastic or the accolades in the stances, yeah? Or it's not even the money I have in the bank. This is all me, right? This is why I'm in this. I love it. Huh? Do you understand? You're not going to think box 3 if you don't love box 2 or box 1. You have to love what you're doing, right? And then he runs. I remember the match. And then he's some couple of yards to the goal. He stops. He looks at the opponent, smiles, dribbles, and then scores. Almost like telling you that, for me, this is not football. This is my life. This is really my enjoyment, okay? So in there, you pack a technique because you love what you're doing. Huh? We cannot have techniques on something so you cannot say, this is a halfway house before I get another job. Huh? I'm just stationed here before I get the job I want, and then I want to think box 3. Impossible. So I cannot, for the life of me, leave the business I love very much to do, leave the teaching I very much like to do, leave the writing. I have 2 manuscripts I have not brought on. I am halfway, I leave them. Leave all these things and say, how about $6 billion, 13 products, how about 2062? It engages me to a point of, you are awake after midnight. So when America says we are terminating AGOA, who have you seen speak about, you cannot terminate us on AGOA, we will make a case? It's not the Minister of Trade, it's not the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Pasaid is saying it. Why? 6 billion, 2062. So I can only really drive box 3 because I love what I'm doing. Huh? If I were going to be there and say, I'm there because I'm thinking of becoming a minister, right? What's that? Huh? That's called a halfway house. Halfway houses are for people who really have not decided what they want to be in life. Huh? Are we together? Yes. So you cannot learn a technique in an area you don't really like very much. So I'm assuming that we're all on one page in terms of either shifting from scissors to Fosbury and learning a technique, or even strengthening where it is possible, necessarily if there is some still gains under straddle, but we aim at the best. So let's have 2 people and make sure they are aligned in the same order. No falling down, no twists and turns. Every time it falls down, you've lost. That's the end. Are we together on understanding what we're about to do? What are we trying to perfect? In life, everything has a technique. There's a method to getting where we want to go. In business, a method can be about facts, can be research, but it's also knowledge and attitude and the love of what you're trying to do. Okay? So now lift this for us. You're going to take 2. I don't mind which colors you take. They have put some colors. Do you have a specific liking to a color? Okay. You may want color orange or color yellow. I don't know. In Uganda, colors mean other things. So let's go. We don't have time. So take this. You're going to move And let's see, maybe the best is you place it here. Let's not take you too far. Align them here in this circle, in this square. You need, that's gone. That's it. That's it. Off. I need another set. That's it. That's what it is. So what if life was giving us one chance? Okay, let's try. Give them distance. They will take 4 steps and put it there. You have to place it straight up the way it was. Okay. So just keep there. What did you do? This is very basic. Looks very basic, right? But let's just tell us in 2 words, because I want this on camera. What did you do before you lifted?
Okay. First strategy. The strategy is understand what you're going to lift, because we have realized it is plastic, which any force that you exert on can make it fall down. So after understanding that it's plastic, you don't need to put a lot of energy. So that is the strategy. After now understanding that you don't need to put a lot of energy, you now need to know what you're going to use for.
Good.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
You have anything you want to say? No. Okay. So, if you look at our notes board where we started from, you remember this? Yeah. Thoughts precede anything. Huh? I am sure you thought through what should we do. We didn't even give you time to have a conversation. Huh? So we need to clap for them and have another group. How many books do you have? Okay, give me one. Aha. Okay, hold it, hold it. So, please stay there. Tell us, how did you do this?
First, we looked at the item we are going to carry. How is it shaped? Now, one way of carrying it is to see that the rope is in the middle, the upper side is a little bit wide. So we make sure the rope is tight, so that it cannot slide.
So shape, okay. I forgot to list what yours was. Nature. The nature, which was plastic. Okay, go ahead, go ahead. Agnes, for you it was the shape.
Yes, but we are also looking at the material that we're using with the bottom of the plastic. It is
Okay.
also a bit slippery, plastic. So the way you handle it matters, because it can easily slip.
Okay.
And you lose the item.
Okay. So we have shape, we have nature, we have material, we have handling. Those of you who have made it, anything we've left out that you used as, thought pattern to get it right?
Teamwork.
Teamwork. Okay. Teamwork. So not one person can get this fixed, however knowledgeable they are. Good. Any other?
I think they're also getting lessons from those who failed at first.
I thought someone would actually say that. It's called copying after you have seen what works. It means that if you lead the industry, you will invite competition. Do you understand? So copying is good. We are learning, but we must be ahead of, we must be trailblazers, pathfinders, create new areas in box 3. It's not bad to copy, but you become a copy what? Copycat. If all you do is cut and paste internally, you are not there. You are copying for survival, yet we want to be Mbappe. I love what I do. I do it because I enjoy it. Do you understand? Any other? Thank you, Michael, for raising that. I thought people are saying, no, I invented it first. Okay. Aha. Musirike balina kye baliko. So remember, we did not put timing. What if we said time is an element of getting the job? They would have lost. Okay, but let me not distract them. Okay. So stay there. What were you trying to do? Let's hear you.
Okay, for us, you know very well this bottle is in a pot shape. And when you want to lift the pot in a safe way, you have to hold it in the middle.
Okay.
You have to hold it in the middle, and there, you're very sure that it cannot slip out of your hands. You will take it wherever you want to take it in a very safe way. So we thought that using that strategy, we would be successful to lift this bottle and take it where we're supposed to take it.
Okay, Isaac. So let me tell you what Isaac is telling us. I have culture knowledge on how you lift pots. And he's bringing culture knowledge in a different area that may not have the same idea with a pot. Do you understand? How we are creatures of where we come from. Because if you bring here someone from Norway, they will lift this with a different technique. They will not be thinking a pot of water. So culture must also be disrupted because we face new situations that require a different approach. So a sense of uniqueness. Okay? So this is very good. We must applaud the effort to try to do something differently. Okay? Remember, we did not attach timing. If we said you do it, and I left all that because you're doing it for the first time. If we said you do this in 60 seconds, we would not have gotten anywhere. Okay? But some people, remember these things are timed. And time in a business is everything also. When you cannot deliver on a particular time, particular schedule, gone. Eh? So I like the fact that this team was trying to apply culture knowledge. And I'm not coming hard on you. Culture knowledge can be very important in an area where it is relevant. But if there is a culture clash, you may stay in box 1 forever. Okay? Sometimes we go to break the pot in order for us to create a new pot. Huh? So a business can close to reopen better. So the thing about what we are trying to achieve with box 3 is to remove fear in the actions we take and take these actions in a more informed, measured, progressively, without fear. But so it's not fear, it's inspiration we're looking for. Now, secondly, a different way. Would you try a different way, something you don't know? Huh? So this thing, you've seen it today, you want to do what? So there is a bit of something we need to combine here. What is known and what is new, right, should meet in the middle and within time deliver an objective. Huh? Yes, Aliba?
What I wanted to say, because others have already done it, so we already seen what they have done. So we already have, because if you had decided to go the way they did it, like you using the upper side, I know we would have made it. But we had to first discuss before we came here that let us not do exactly what they did.
Okay.
Let us try another way of doing this.
Good. So what did I say? That there is no wrong or right answer in our session for the next 2 days. We are all mature people. We all have experience of different kinds. We are taking lessons from simple things. Remember thinking and behavior? I want these lessons captured. So you see, I looked at shape and I applied myself to shape. The mind told me shape. This mind, which I drew before, told me that shape. And we're going to see a bit more of this as we move forward in the session on creativity. The mind tells me shape should guide. Another person says the nature of something. Huh? How something, it's plastic, it's not metal. I should do differently. The handling. All these are techniques on how you deliver an objective. The guys who say, I'll wait until I don't want to spend money. Let them first do the research and spend it. Me, I'll go, okay, I train my people very well. I'll go and snatch 2 of them. Aren't there companies like that in our industry? So, is that a strategy to grow? We are not in that business, please remember. For me, I want us to abandon a few of the elements in box 1 in order to think of box 3. And then I think one of you brought out teamwork. None of us could deliver that thing alone. You could tie around ropes, but you can't get it done. Eh? So let us move on first thing tomorrow morning, because it's 5 o'clock. Eh?